Hello, my name is Ishbin Bryan, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to completely cover your eyes with skin. It sounds really weird, but it makes for a really cool effect for music videos. So let's get right to it. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe to get more education and some freebies. All right, so when you first open up After Effects, you want to make sure you lay your footage in your timeline. And as you can see, I already did this effect to the person on the left. I'm also going to duplicate this effect to the person on the right. So I'm going to show you how it's done. So here's what it should look like. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go over to the Effects and Presets panel and go ahead and type in Mocha, M-O-C-H-A-A-E. Mocha AE should work. So go ahead and drag and drop it onto your timeline, and if you don't see it up here, you're going to have to make sure your effects controls is selected. So once that happens, you're going to hit on the Mocha button, and it's going to promote some stuff. I'm going to have it show me next time, so I'm going to hit start. So now what we want to do is track her eyes. So I'm going to zoom in pretty close to her face, and we'll start with her left eye tracker here. So what you want to do is click on the little pen with the X, and we're going to do kind of like the inside of the eye first. So you just want to left click and make a bunch of these keyframes. And then I'm going to kind of go to the outer eye too, because the muscle kind of moves as well around the eye. So this is going to track your eyeball. So that's pretty good. So I'm gonna right click now to get out of this. And now you're going to see a little T on a play button. If you hit that, it should track the eye to the right. It looks pretty good. But as you can see, there's still red down here, so that means that hasn't been tracked. But if you hit the T back, right over here, it'll track backwards too. So now you should have this full tracked eyeball. Simple as that. So let's go ahead and go over to layer 1, double click it, and rename it to left eye tracker. Very nice. And then we don't need to see this red thing anymore, so let's undo the eyeball over here so we don't see it. So now we're going to make another tracker. So go to the pen with the X again, and we're going to do just the interior of the pupil here. Make sure you get the iris in there. We're just trying to make this as clean as possible. And then I'm going to right click again. And there you have it. So we're actually not going to hit the T on the play button this time, but instead we're going to rename this to left eye track, or let's just go left eye. And then make sure with that left eye selected, you go down to link to track. We're going to link that to left eye tracker. So now if we drag through, that should be tracked as well. Very nice. So we're going to repeat these steps for the second eye, but I'm going to actually walk you through it because it's good to learn things twice. So what we can do is hit the pupil again over here so you don't see that one. So now we're going to do the right eye tracker. So if you click on the pen with the X again, and then we're going to do the same thing we did the first one. We're just going to track the pupil first. And I'm left clicking around it. And then we're going to go wide around kind of the muscles around your eye here. Very nice. Okay. And then we're going to right click out of there again. We're going to rename that layer to right eye track. Right eye tracker. We haven't actually tracked it yet, as you can see, because it's still red. If this turns blue, then we are golden. So go ahead and hit the T with the play button again. And it's going to track that eye. I'm going to zoom out here so you can see. Very nice. It's staying. Cool. And then one more for safety. We're going to do that again. So go ahead and hit the little eyeball again. And we're going to hit the pen tool with the X. And we're going to go over here, right up in the eye, and trace that pupil. This track is specifically good for if the character blinks. If they do blink, you're going to have to manually track, which I could show in another tutorial. But we're just going to try to do it without blinks. So if you do film a subject, maybe tell them not to blink to make it easier for you in post. So there we go. And remember what we do, we go to link to track. We're going to go to link to the right eye tracker. And don't forget to change that layer to right eye. Very nice. So that is now good to go. And you don't have to change anything else. All you have to do is actually hit the X, the top right of Mocha. It's going to ask you to save, and you're going to hit save. So nothing looks any different now in our file, but we're going to create two null objects. So if you go to layer, new, null object, you can just do that again, or you can duplicate it. Let's just do it the slower way so everyone's on board. So you have two null objects, right? So the first one, we're going to right click and rename to right eye. Oops. And the second one, we're going to rename to, if you right click, rename to left eye. But also nothing happens. There's just two nulls, and that's okay. So we're going to click on our footage layer, which is this beautiful scene here. And if you go over to your effects and controls panel here, again, if you don't see it, make sure you have it selected here. You're going to go to tracking data, and then you're actually going to create track data. And we're going to do that. Let's start with the right eye tracker. So we're going to hit right eye tracker, hit OK. And still nothing has happened, but we're going to change corner pin to transform, and then layer export to right eye, since this is the right eye tracker. And then you want to go ahead and hit apply export. So now if I zoom in to her face here, you can see kind of this track on her eye. And we want to do the same thing to the left eye. So then go ahead and make sure you have this footage layer selected again. You're going to go to create track data. You're going to change it to left eye tracker. Hit OK. And then your transform should already be set. Your layer export to should be left eye. So now you're tracking the left eye here. Make sure you hit apply export. There's a couple steps that if you miss, this will not work. So apply export. So now that one should be tracked as well. Very nice. And then what I'm going to do is duplicate my footage layer. Control D on the layer if you're using a PC. And then I like to bring down the opacity of it. So if you go to the drop down menu, go to transform and then bring down the opacity, you can. It just helps a little bit. And then I change the scale up. So like I'm going to be using, since the light source is coming from the left side here, I'm going to make sure I use the left cheek to kind of cover up this eye. And it doesn't have to be this big, so I'll scale it down just a bit. There. I have the cheek basically of her positioned over the eye. Right there. So it's kind of like clean. Actually, I'm just going to relabel this layer so you can remember it. Label blue. And then I'm going to right click it and hit time freeze frame. Because the frame moves, if you don't create a freeze frame, things will just start getting wonky and moving around. So now what I'm going to do is make a mask around her eye. I tend to go over kind of like the folds of your eye here, just so it covers those up as well, so it looks like it's completely flat. Don't get too close to the eye because you are going to have to blend it after. So we just made a mask around it, and I did that by hitting the pen tool, of course. It doesn't look like anything else because the opacity's down. So what we're going to do is make sure that under this file here, under transform, your opacity is back up. So if I zoom out, that's what I want it to look like. And it still doesn't look that clean. So with that selected, if you go to masks on that layer, you can go ahead and feather it just a bit. Kind of blends it a little more, and you can still see a couple of these little lines. So I'm going to adjust my mask a little bit to clean it up as best as I can. And I think that looks pretty decent. Maybe a couple more folds at the top there. So the more you feather, yes, the cleaner the blend is, but you might get a couple of these little eye folds, which sounds like a weird word, but there you go. That being said, that's what I want it to look like. I can still kind of see your eye, so maybe I'm going to add a little bit less feather. Let's do like 13. It's still at maybe, let's go 18. I think it's just too close there. It'll be fine. Okay, so once I have this mask made, I want to make sure that this mask sticks to the knoll that we made earlier. So as long as you hit this arrow here, you can see your left eye footage is going to be parented. So I'm going to actually rename that to left eye cover. Let's do that. And then we want to make sure that this left eye cover, if you go to parent and link down here, if you don't see it, you're going to have to click on this little expand or collapse the transfer controls panel. It's very, very tiny at the bottom left. But if you don't see it, go ahead and open that up, and then you'll see parent and link, and you want to go ahead and click the drop down menu and go to left eye. So now this should track it. So let's look at it kind of from where we would see the frame. Decent. Yeah, pretty decent. Very nice. And of course, if you want, adjust that mask. I'm trying to blend this as much as I can here. She does have cheekbones. That's causing an issue. All right, so let's do this same thing to the other eye. So what we're going to do is go ahead and duplicate that blue layer. Control D. That's the left eye cover. Let's rename that to right eye cover. Very nice. And then we're going to move this mask over to another part where this looks pretty clean. Probably like right here. And then I'm just going to move the mask right above her eye, and I'm going to make my tweaks. I might have to adjust it a little more to get just a little bit more skin. And if this is a problem and you're not able to get a lot of skin, you can go to transform again and make sure you scale up your footage some more so you get more skin space, I guess, if that makes sense. Oh, don't do that. I'm just making a new mask and shift it over the eye there. Okay, that looks a lot better. So, look like this. Here we go. She's getting a shadow over here, so this is something you could play around with after. Add some fake shadows if you really wanted to, but I think for the most part, this will work. I'm just gonna go under her eyebrow, just slightly there. Okay, and then same thing. So right eye cover is label blue now. I'm going to edit label, change the color. Let's say yellow. Wow, that looks great. Going to click it. Make sure your parent and link is now changed to right eye. And there you have it. If we watch this back, if you don't want to see the null boxes, you can just hit the little eyeball next to the nulls, the little red ones. But like for the most part, that looks pretty decent. Of course, this isn't my best work. I would adjust this cheekbone. You can kind of see it a little bit on her eye, but that right eye is looking great. Thanks for watching my video, everyone. I'm excited to see what you guys end up doing with this effect. If you liked what you saw, please comment, like, subscribe for free education and freebies.